Hello!
What's going on?
What's going on? AI, it's the future of filmmaking. That's right.
That is exactly right. Hi, I'm Darian Donju, a filmmaker, more specifically an AI filmmaker, and I'm here to talk to you about why AI filmmaking in 2025 will dominate the film industry. If you're not already aware, AI filmmaking has made huge leaps and bounds in the last 2 years, but especially in 2024, a lot of the skills and abilities that AI has for narrative filmmaking especially have just taken leaps and bounds forward. So I'm gonna kind of talk to you here pretty informally as we go into 2025. I'm recording this on the very last day of 2024. In fact, it's gonna be 2025 in about three hours or so. And I just wanted to make sure that I kick things off with you to let you know the things that I've learned about AI filmmaking that I think will make it the dominant tool for filmmaking and the game changer that is really going to change the entire industry. So if you're not already a part of it, this is a good chance to get on board. Let's talk about it. 2024 saw a bunch of new tools pop up. We talked about Sora back in March or May. They made the announcement but never released the tool. Sora did finally get released a few weeks ago, right at the end of the year, and it did not live up to the hype that had been built up to it, because what happened is, by waiting to release the tool, a bunch of other tools came out, coming out of different countries. America and China definitely dominant in the space, but Minimax out of China is one of the best tools as well for making AI films and is worth giving a try. But the point is that while OpenAI held back and didn't release Sora right away, all these other companies jumped on the bandwagon and actually released their tools to the public, and all year got all that feedback from us creators, and basically have made tools which in many cases now are actually better than Sora in many aspects. The big announcement that happened at the end of the year was Google VO. Google VO 2 dropped. And I think they actually waited to drop about a week after Sora came out. And it blows away Sora on almost every single benchmark. There have been a lot of side-by-side tests where you can see that Google VO has a lot more consistency. It follows your prompts more accurately. The only thing about Google VO 2 is that it is not fully publicly available. And so that's why jumping right into my number one recommendation, if you're going to get into AI video right now, is a tool called Kling AI. I'm going to show you some clips as we're doing the video of film that I have made with Kling AI, which for me is incredibly astounding.
He survived the war. We've no clue how. Now, he's the only human who walks the face of the earth.
Now, that being said, let's just talk about the difference between traditional filmmaking and AI filmmaking. With traditional filmmaking, we're still not there yet, right? So just to allay any of your fears that, 2025 will be the year that AI completely obliterates the traditional filmmaking process and now nobody's going to be shooting things on location with cameras anymore. That is not going to happen, not in 2025. When I say it's going to dominate the film industry, what I mean is that I believe that between the first of the year and the end of the year, AI will get to the point that it permeates almost every production in some aspect, even a very small aspect. Things like visual effects, things like backgrounds, things like establishing shots or shots of scenarios or inserts or things like that. These are things that AI can actually do really, really well already. And it would surprise a lot of people who really haven't necessarily been on top of the latest updates to see what it can actually do. It is to the point where a lot of AI video has probably already slipped past your eyes on YouTube videos, on commercials, on media and marketing and advertising and things like that, where it slipped right past your eyes and you probably already haven't noticed it. So it's kind of like one of these situations where when you look at visual effects, for example, people will complain about how bad visual effects is, but they won't realize that they just saw 1,000 visual effects shots pass their eyes before the one bad visual effects shot that they're complaining about. And it's getting to that point with AI as well, is if you're really not told that it's AI and you're not looking for it, we are already at a point where you wouldn't know that AI is there in many cases, right? Now, of course, AI does have strong points and it has weaknesses. Some of the strong points for AI are, like I said, when you're generating anything that is already existent in the world. As we know, the AI, the way it's made, is it's trained on the data that's already out there in the world. So things that are out on YouTube, photography, video, even 3D and things that have already existed and that can be found on the internet and reviewed by the AI training data. This is how AI learns. So if you're making anything that is very similar to stuff that's already been out there, then it's going to do that very well. Stock photography, corporate videos, things that you would find on something like a Getty Images or iStock Photo. It's trained on that kind of stuff, right? So if you need to make those kinds of stock photography, corporate videos, stock footage, all of that stuff, AI is very, very good at doing it. Scenes, environments, wide angle panoramas of vistas, things that have been shot, by nature photographers around the world. AI is going to be really, really good at that. Other things that AI is really good at are anything that's also been generated or created in the world of science fiction or fantasy, where it has a reference to start from, right? So if you're making something that's completely original, that's never been seen before, you're going to have to be a lot more specific, and you might even have to go into other tools like Photoshop in order to create reference imagery or concept imagery, or even sketch something and give that to your AI so it gets an idea of what you're talking about. But if you're doing something that is, very popular, werewolves, dragons, these types of things, which you would find a lot of reference imagery from online, then once again, AI is trained on things that are online, and so it's going to be really, really good at those kinds of things. But I want to step back for a second, and I want to talk about just the film industry in general and why AI filmmaking is really a big deal. So aside from getting into the specifics of the tools that are out there, which are always going to be changing and competing and popping up new ones, and I definitely will take you through those, right? And I've done a lot of homework, which I'm going to share with you. But I do want to take that step back, and I want to talk about why AI filmmaking is important to me and why I think it's a groundbreaking shift in our industry, and it is absolutely a massive shift. Traditional filmmaking has always been very gatekept. If you're a filmmaker and you grew up on watching these big budget movies, Steven Spielberg movies, James Cameron's Avatar, and all these really groundbreaking type things, Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, of course, right? A lot of us out there, Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans. We always wanted to be able to make that stuff ourselves, and a lot of us have these really big ideas. Filmmaker like me, I've started by writing scripts, and then I moved into making independent film, and then I was welcomed into the industry, and I've been able to be a part of some of the biggest productions in the world, fortunately. But that being said, even for those of us who work in the industry, the hope of being able to make our own films on that large scale, big concepts, or even smaller concepts, but things that would take a lot of money, like going back in time, doing something in medieval times, shooting something in a desert when you live in a big city, shooting something in Iceland or on a glacier or anything like that, and when you live in a place that is completely far away from anything cold or icy. All of these things require budgets that, as independent filmmakers, not all of us have access to those budgets. And the problem with the film industry is that the path from somebody like an independent filmmaker like me or like you, having an idea, and that idea being able to be realized in actual clips and images that you can edit and you can put into a video and you can put out into the world, there's a long journey between that, right? You've got to go figure out how to find producers that can help you raise money. You've got to please investors. A lot of times the idea that you have will go through so many iterations that by the time it actually gets made, if it ever gets made, you might not even recognize the idea that you originally started with, because there's so many people that have to be pleased along the way. There's so much gatekeeping. And even the fact that you have to raise that much money essentially creates that gatekeeping, because if it takes you 10 million to make a movie, right? Even a movie that's not like massively epic. Like you think about a movie like an Ex Machina, right? Which is noted to cost about $10 million to make, right? If you watch the movie, it's basically a drama. It's a science fiction drama. Yes, it does have some visual effects and a few shots that are epic, like when they're flying with the helicopter above the glacier to get to the house and things. But ultimately, it's a small drama with about 3 or 4 primary characters that are interacting in a one house location. And so, but for that to cost $10 million, that basically means that there's almost no one on the face of the planet who would have been able to tell that story in the way it was told with that type of budget. There are very few people who will ever in their lifetime be able to get access to have an investor say yes to put up $10 million or to have $10 million of their own or in any way get to that money. So the reality is that 99.9999999% of filmmakers in the world who want to make their ideas and want to tell these really creative and interesting stories will never be able to do so in the old school industry because of the way things are so expensive. AI is changing the industry because it will now allow filmmakers like you, filmmakers like me, to be able to express ideas that we never were able to before. And we're gonna have lots of conversations on this channel about this. I'm gonna keep this video relatively short because it's meant to be a brief introduction and a heads up to this gangbusters of a year that 2025 is going to be. But that is a specific point that I really want to convey, is when you hear these arguments, and there are a lot of haters out there, the main thing that overrides any of the hate or any of the negativity that kind of swells and surrounds AI in some aspects is the overwhelming positive side that you are putting in the hands of almost anyone in the world who has access to a computer and, not even really large amounts of money to be part of these subscriptions. Something comparable to, having a couple of streaming services of subscriptions is enough that it takes for you to get into this AI game, filmmaking game. It's just that overwhelming opportunity for filmmakers to express the ideas that they never could before. And that to me trumps any other considerations about, we can get into the nuances of, what are the arguments against AI and what are the arguments for AI. But on the for side, which if you can't tell already, I'm a huge AI optimist. On the for side, it is giving opportunity to almost everyone in the world to be able to express themselves. And for me, that is what humanity is about. That is what creative expression is about. And that is a thing that AI has brought us a step closer to being able to realize. And it's going to end up being so much more fun for consumers and such a big boon to the industry, because in the end, people just want to be able to have choice in what they create, and they want to have freedom of choice in what they watch and consume. So yeah, it's going to be a gangbusters year. Like I said, I'm going to show you examples of things that I've made within the last few days to show you the state of the art of the industry. If you're interested in AI filmmaking and anything related to AI, creativity, filmmaking, definitely smash that like button, hit the like, subscribe, leave a comment, and this is going to be a wonderful journey that we're going to go on together, and I'm glad you're here for it. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful 2025. Happy New Year. Let's get it.
Woo! Yeah!
All right. Woo!